her 25-year career in education, she has worked to bridge classroom and outdoor education. Please help me welcome Amity.
Thank you all for being here to think about how connecting students with outdoor education can make their learning more relevant and engaging and meaningful. I'm Amity Sandage. I'm Environmental Literacy Coordinator for Santa Cruz County Office of Education, which means my job is to support all of the school districts in our county to integrate environmental literacy into their core curriculum and enrichment programs as well. But I'm also here on behalf of the California Environmental Literacy Initiative. I serve on their leadership council. And so I wanted to give you an overview of what's happening at the state level. This is the state's initiative for creating a system that brings all of our students environmental literacy within the K-12 system. It all started with a blueprint for environmental literacy that was released in 2015 by the Department of Education. And it's basically a how-to manual for everything that we would need to do to ensure that all students graduate from K-12 as environmentally literate young adults. So usually at this point, people are kind of scratching their heads and going, what exactly is environmental literacy? And I know because that's in my title, and so I see that look in people's eyes. We know about scientific literacy, and we hear about literacy with language, but environmental literacy isn't a term that's been as commonly used. So this is the definition from the blueprint for environmental literacy, how it begins, that an environmentally literate person has the capacity to act individually and with others to support ecologically sound, economically prosperous, and equitable communities for present and future generations. We want that. If you break that down into plain language, you can see that it's a person who understands ecology, which is basically the science of natural systems. So there's science in there. To have an economically prosperous community, we need students prepared for the careers that understand our dependence on natural resources. And so there's a lot of career education in environmental literacy as well. And then equitable communities really relies on students and people who understand the policy making that governs our natural resources and ensures that all communities have access to clean water, clean air, energy, all of the resources that we need to survive, and that those are equitably available to our communities throughout the state. And if you think about it, a student who's studying a local environmental issue on their campus or in the community, they are really forced to use all of the content areas. The different branches of science are intertwined, chemistry, physics, and bio, but also they're having to use their math to collect data and analyze their results. They're having to use a lot of English language arts skills to create explanations based on evidence from their data, arguments based on evidence. Those are all Common Core practices. And then they also have to understand the complex decision-making processes that happen in a community that govern what happens in the environment. So that's civics, history, social science. And so we want all of that learning happening in our classrooms already. That's what we're striving for. But with environmental literacy, you connect it to an issue that's real and outside the classroom in their schoolyard or in their community. It affects their families, other students. And so it really gives them the why for the classroom lessons that they're learning, which is very powerful. So CALI, the Environmental Literacy Initiative in California, is really trying to make sure that every student gets that experience of why they're learning the content by connecting it with local environments. And doing it locally really relates to their goal of equity and inclusion, because if you're studying the Amazon rainforest or an environment in an area very far from your home, it's much less relevant. And so by focusing on the local issues, you ensure that there's inclusion of all communities in this work. And we have districts in very urban environments who are doing amazing work in environmental literacy to transform their urban environments and make them healthier. And then the other goal is to work at the district level, because if we try to go student by student, teacher by teacher, California is such a populous state, we'll never get there. But districts have that local control, decision making around their curriculum. So Cali is really focusing on trying to work with districts. So this is how you all can help get involved at the site level and at the district level, because it really does take local involvement. The other part of the environmental literacy definition are these environmental principles and concepts. Have any of you heard of the EPNCs? Okay, these were created by a team of over 100 scientists from the California EPA and technical experts and educators. And they are all about the interdependence of human society and natural systems, and how those any changes in one affect the other. And then the last principle is really about civic engagement. So these are now embedded in our science framework, our history social science framework, and our new health framework that is about to be released has the EPNCs embedded within them. And these framework documents are what the state uses to generate new curriculum. And we just had a bill pass last fall, Senate Bill 720, that put those environmental principles and concepts into the education code. They used to be in the natural resources code, but now they're in education code. So that means that all future curriculum development, the criteria for publishers will include the EPNCs. And it calls on superintendents of districts and on school boards to provide environmental literacy experiences to students K through 12. So going beyond 5th grade science camp, which is pretty much it out there, and not even every school gets to participate in that. So there's legislation out there backing this up now. It also calls on superintendents to provide professional learning experiences for their teachers that include EPNCs and environmental content connected across the curriculum.